Vienna Convention was the outcome of efforts of 20 countries who were largely responsible for producing chlorofluorocarbons CFC. These countries signed a treaty in Vienna which is known as Vienna Convention for the Protection of the Ozone Layer 1985. Vienna Convention is a framework treaty which sets out the general obligation of the parties. Vienna Convention entered into force on 22nd September 1988. Vienna Convention is the first international treaty to have achieved universal ratification. Montreal Protocol 1987. The Montreal Protocol on substances that deplete the ozone layer is a supplementary agreement to Vienna Convention 1985. The aim of the protocol is to eliminate and phase out ozone depleting substances ODS in a time-bound manner since these ODS were damaging the important protection in the form of ozone layer. Kigali Amendment 2016. The Kigali Amendment aims for the phase down of hydrofluorocarbons HFCs by cutting their production and consumption. Ocean acidification. In the 200 plus years since the Industrial Revolution began, the concentration of carbon dioxide CO2 in the atmosphere has increased due to humans burning fossil fuels such as car emissions and changing the way land is used such as deforestation. During this time, the pH of surface ocean water has fallen by 0.1 pH units. The pH scale, like the Richter scale, is logarithmic, so this change represents approximately a 30% increase in acidity. Future predictions indicate that the oceans will continue to absorb carbon dioxide, further increasing ocean acidity. Estimates of future carbon dioxide levels based on business as usual emission scenarios indicate that by the end of the century, the surface waters of the ocean could have acidity levels nearly 150% higher, resulting in a pH that the oceans haven't experienced for more than 20 million years. The ocean absorbs about 30% of the CO2 that is released in the atmosphere, and as levels of atmospheric CO2 increase, so do the levels in the ocean. When CO2 is absorbed by seawater, a series of chemical reactions occur resulting in the increased concentration of hydrogen ions. This increase causes the seawater to become more acidic and causes carbonate ions to be relatively less abundant. Carbonate ions are an important building block of structures such as seashells and coral skeletons. Decreases in carbonate ions can make building and maintaining shells and other calcium carbonate structures difficult for calcifying organisms such as oysters, clams, sea urchins, shallow water corals, deep sea corals, and calcareous plankton. Many marine organisms that produce calcium carbonate shells or skeletons are negatively impacted by increasing CO2 levels and decreasing pH in seawater. Global sea level rise. Global mean sea level has risen about 8 to 9 inches, that is 21 to 24 centimeters since 1880, with about a third of that coming in just the last 2.5 decades. The rising water level is mostly due to a combination of meltwater from glaciers and ice sheets and thermal expansion of seawater as it warms. In 2018, global mean sea level was 3.2 inches, that is 8.1 centimeter, above the 1993 average, the highest annual average in the satellite record 1993 to present. Why sea level matters? In world level, most of the population lives in relatively high population density coastal areas, and in India also major population density are along the coastal areas, and it has also good amount of fertile alluvium tract where sea level plays a role in flooding, shoreline erosion and hazards from storms. What's causing sea level to rise? Global warming is causing global mean sea level to rise in two ways. First, glaciers and ice sheets worldwide are melting and adding water to the ocean. Second, the volume of the ocean is expanding as the water warms. A third, much smaller contributor to sea level rise is a decline in the amount of liquid water on land, aquifers, lakes and reservoirs, rivers, soil moisture. This shift of liquid water from land to ocean is largely due to groundwater pumping. Heat waves. Heat wave is a period of abnormally high temperatures more than the normal maximum temperature. The Indian Meteorological Department IMD has given the following criteria for heat waves. Heat wave need not be considered till maximum temperature of a station reaches at least 40 degrees Celsius for plains and at least 30 degrees Celsius for hilly regions. Based on departure from normal. Heat wave. Departure from normal is 4.5 degrees Celsius to 6.4 degrees Celsius. Severe heat wave. Departure from normal is less than 6.4 degrees Celsius. Heat wave. When actual maximum temperature is greater than or equal to 45 degrees Celsius. Severe heat wave. When actual maximum temperature is greater than or equal to 47 degrees Celsius. How heat waves are formed. A heat wave is formed when static high pressure generated in the upper atmosphere over a region for several days up to several weeks. This static high pressure generates a hot mass of air which is stagnant for many days and weeks, which resulted the trapping of more heat that also reduced the convection currents. The high pressure acts as a barrier and forces the mass of air to sink to the surface of the land that prevents heat to rise. This hot mass of air accumulates only heat and humidity without any trace of precipitation that causes abnormally high temperature heat wave occur mostly over an interior plain area when dry and warmer air is transported in a region with clear skies and hence maximum insulation during the summer season. Bay Islands, Lakshadweep, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, coastal and south interior Karnataka are not affected by heat waves due to the occurrence of maritime air over these regions. Heat waves generally develop over northwest India and spread gradually eastwards and southwards but not westwards. since the prevailing winds during the season are westerly to northwesterly. Most severe impact of heat is felt on water resources that evaporate fast during heat wave conditions. This thereby increases the vulnerability of humans, natural habitat, and economic activities including agriculture, crops, and livestock. Heat health impacts are most severe in urban areas where residents are exposed to higher and nocturnally sustained temperatures compared to surrounding areas due to a phenomenon called the urban heat island UHI effect, which is caused by a combination of more heat absorbing surfaces. Ahmedabad was the first city to prepare a heat wave action plan in 2015. Health impacts of heat waves: heat syncope, giddiness, vertigo, sudden drowsiness, and unconsciousness. Heat cramps, edema, swelling, and syncope, fainting, generally accompanied by fever below 39 degrees Celsius, that is 102 degrees Fahrenheit. Heat exhaustion, fatigue, weakness, dizziness, headache, nausea, vomiting, muscle cramps, and sweating. Heat stroke, body temperatures of 40 degrees Celsius, that is 104 degrees Fahrenheit or more, along with delirium, seizures, or coma. Technological mitigation strategies for climate change. The 2018 Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change IPCC special report on 1.5 degrees of warming highlights the urgency of the needed climate actions. Global emissions will need to peak by 2030 and rapidly decrease to net zero by 2050. Therefore, the world communities are focusing broadly on two main areas: mitigation and adaptation. Mitigation. Reducing climate change involves reducing the flow of heat-trapping greenhouse gases in the atmosphere, either by reducing sources of these gases, for example, the burning of fossil fuels for electricity, heat, or transport, or enhancing the sinks that accumulate and store these gases, such as the oceans, forests, and soil. As per the report, Mitigation of Climate Change from the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the goal of mitigation is to avoid significant human interference with the climate system and stabilize greenhouse gas levels in a time frame sufficient to allow ecosystems to adapt naturally to climate change, ensure that food production is not threatened, and to enable economic development to proceed in a sustainable manner. Adaptation. Adapting to life in a changing climate involves adjusting to actual or expected future climate. The goal is to reduce our vulnerability to the harmful effects of climate change like sea level encroachment, more intense extreme weather events, or food insecurity. It also encompasses making the most of any potential beneficial opportunities associated with climate change. For example, longer growing seasons or increased yields in some regions. Technologies to mitigate climate change. Global climate is controlled by the amount of solar radiation received by Earth and also by this energy within the Earth system. That is, how much is absorbed by Earth's surface and how much is reflected or re-radiated back into space. The reflectance of solar radiation is controlled by several mechanisms including Earth's surface albedo and cloud coverage and the presence in the atmosphere of greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide, CO2. There are various geoengineering proposals which will aim at regulating this heat balance of the earth and employ various other carbon sequestration techniques to mitigate climate change. Approaches. Two fundamentally different approaches to the problem of global climate change have arisen. The first approach proposes the use of technologies that would increase the reflectance of incoming solar radiation, thus reducing the heating effect of sunlight upon Earth's surface and lower atmosphere. However, altering Earth's heat budget by reflecting more sunlight back into space might offset rising temperatures but would do nothing to counter the rising concentration of CO2 in Earth's atmosphere. The second geoengineering approach focuses on this problem, proposing to remove CO2 from the air and store it in areas where it cannot interact with Earth's atmosphere. This approach is more appealing than the first because it has the potential to counteract both rising temperatures and rising carbon dioxide levels. Cloud seeding. It is the deliberate introduction into clouds of various substances that act as condensation nuclei or ice nuclei in an attempt to induce precipitation. This process attempts to bring rain to parched lands by dispersing particles of silver iodide or solid carbon dioxide into rain-bearing clouds. In clouds at temperatures above freezing, calcium chloride particles provide the condensation nuclei around which raindrops form. Attempts have been made to use these substances in cloud seeding operations that minimize damage to crops and buildings from hailstones. Cloud seeding works on a regional scale, seeking to influence weather systems for the benefit of agriculture. Stratospheric sulfur injection. The formation of an aerosol layer of sulfur in the stratosphere would increase the scattering of incoming solar radiation. As more radiation is scattered in the stratosphere by aerosols, less would be observed by the troposphere, the lower level of the atmosphere where weather primarily occurs. Proponents believe that sulfur injection essentially would mimic the atmospheric effects that follow volcanic eruptions. This aerosol layer was reported to have lowered average temperatures around the world by about 0.5 degrees Celsius, that is 0.9 degree Fahrenheit, over the following few years. To produce an artificial aerosol layer, sulfur particles would be shot into the stratosphere by cannons or dispersed from balloons or other aircraft. Cloud whitening. The process of cloud whitening relies upon towering spraying devices placed on land and mounted on ocean-going vessels. Such devices would expel a mist of pressurized seawater droplets and dissolved salts to altitudes up to 300 meters, that is 1000 feet. As the water droplets evaporate, proponents believe bright salt crystals would remain to reflect incoming solar radiation. Later, these crystals would act as condensation nuclei and form new water droplets, which in turn would increase overall marine cloud coverage, reflecting even more incoming solar radiation into space. Orbital mirrors and sunshades. This proposal involves the placement of several million small reflective objects beyond Earth's atmosphere. It is thought that concentrated clusters of these objects could partially redirect or block incoming solar radiation. The objects would be launched from rockets and positioned at a stable Lagrangian point between the Sun and Earth. Lagrangian points are locations in space at which a small body under the gravitational influence of two large ones will remain approximately at rest relative to them. Carbon capture and storage. The carbon removal approach would extract CO2 from other gases in the atmosphere by changing it into other forms of carbon, such as carbonate, through photosynthesis or artificial scrubbing. This separated carbon then would be either sequestered in biomass at the surface or transported away for storage in the ocean or underground. These include carbon burial. It involves the pumping of pressurized CO2 into suitable geological structures, that is, with gas-tight upper layers to cap the buried carbon, deep underground or in the deep ocean. Ocean fertilization. Ocean fertilization would increase the uptake of CO2 from the air by phytoplankton microscopic plants that reside at or near the surface of the ocean. Biochar production. The production of biochar, a type of charcoal made from animal waste and plant residues such as wood chips, leaves and husks, can sequester carbon by circumventing the normal decomposition process or acting as a fertilizer to enhance the sequestration rate of growing biomass. Biochar mixed with soils might serve as a fertilizer, thus further increasing the carbon sequestration potential of plants growing in the soil. Another form of carbon capture would involve the use of scrubbing towers and so-called artificial trees. we are going to see the chapter of volcano. Features of volcano. A volcano is a vent in the Earth's crust through which molten material erupts suddenly. Volcanism is the phenomenon of eruption of molten rock onto the surface of the Earth or a solid surface, planet or moon, where lava, pyroclastics and volcanic gases erupt through a break in the surface called a vent. Features of volcano. The molten rock material found in the interior of the Earth is called magma. When it reaches the Earth's surface, it is known as lava. The material that reaches the ground includes lava flows, pyroclastic debris, volcanic bombs, ash and dust. Gases such as nitrogen compounds, sulfur compounds and minor amounts of chlorine, hydrogen and argon. Crater is a saucer-shaped depression in the mouth of a volcano. When the crater is widened, it is called as caldera. When they erupt, they tend to collapse on themselves rather than building any tall structure. The collapsed depressions are called calderas. Types of volcanoes. Based on the frequency of eruption, there are three types of volcanoes. Active volcanoes. Volcanoes which erupt frequently are called active volcanoes. Generally, their vent remains open. Example, Mount Etna of Italy, Cotopaxi in Ecuador, Mount Mayon, Philippines. Barren Island is an island located in the Andaman Sea. Dormant volcanoes. These volcanoes may not have erupted in the recent past, but there is a possibility of eruption at any time. In other words, they may lie dormant awaiting active eruption anytime. Sometimes gases and steam come out of them. They cause great destruction to life and property once they become active again. For example, Mount Vesuvius of Italy, Mount Fujiyama of Japan. Extinct volcanoes. These volcanoes have exhausted their energy and have not erupted during the no geological period. The vent of these volcanoes remains closed with solidified lava. The formations such as craters may be filled with water. Example, Popa in Myanmar and Mount Kenya in Eastern Africa. On the basis of nature of eruption and form developed on the surface, they are classified into following types. Shield volcanoes. These are made up of basalt, a type of lava that is very fluid when erupted. They become explosive when water gets into the vent. They develop into a cinder cone. Example, Hawaiian volcano. Composite cone volcanoes. They are also called stratovolcanoes. These volcanoes are characterized by eruptions of cooler and more viscous lavas than basalt. These volcanoes often result in explosive eruptions. They are cone-shaped volcanoes composed of layers of lava, ash and rock debris. Examples: Mount Shasta, Mount Rainier, Mount Mayun of Philippines. Indonesia 1815. Mount Tambora. Cinder cone volcano. They are usually of low height and are formed of volcanic dust and ashes, pyroclastic matter. It forms when magma is thrown out of the surface, cooled into ash and cinders, and settled around the mouth of volcano. It is less dangerous than other volcanoes. Lava cone. Unlike composite and shield volcanoes, lava domes are of significantly smaller structure. They are formed when the lava is too viscous to flow to a great distance. As the lava dome slowly grows, the outer surface cools and hardens. Flood basalt provinces. These volcanoes outpour highly fluid lava that flows for long distances. Some parts of the world are covered by thousands of square kilometers of thick basalt lava flows. Example, the Deccan Traps, India. Effects of volcanic activities. Destructive effects of volcanoes. It creates damage to life and properties. The volcanic gases pose potential hazard to people, animals, agriculture, while sulfur dioxide gas can lead to acid rain and air pollution. Positive effects of volcanoes. Volcanism creates new landforms. Volcanic rocks yield very fertile soil upon weathering and decomposition. Example, the Kimberlite rock of South Africa, the source of diamonds. Distribution of volcanoes. The major regions of volcanic distributions are Mid-Atlantic region. The Mid-Atlantic region coasts have comparatively fewer active volcanoes but many dormant or extinct volcanoes. Example, St. Helena, Cape Verde Islands and the Canary Islands. Circum-Pacific region. It is popularly termed the Pacific Ring of Fire, has the greatest concentration of active volcanoes. Volcanic belt and earthquake belt closely overlap along the Pacific Ring of Fire. It is estimated to include 2/3 of the world's volcanoes. The Great Rift Valley of Africa. In Africa, some volcanoes are found along the East African Rift Valley. Kilimanjaro and Mount Kenya are extinct volcanoes. The only active volcano in West Africa is Mount Cameroon. Mediterranean region. Volcanoes of the Mediterranean region are mainly associated with the alpine folds. Example, Mount Vesuvius, Mount Stromboli, known as the lighthouse of the Mediterranean Sea. Volcanoes in India. Barren Island is the only island in India having confirmed active volcano named Barren Volcano, which erupted recently in 2017. However, the other volcanic island in Indian territory is Narcondam, Andaman and Nicobar Islands. It is probably extinct. Its crater wall has been completely destroyed. Volcanic landforms, rocks and minerals. Any natural mass of mineral matter that makes up the Earth's crust is called a rock. Rocks can be of different color, size, and texture. There are three major types of rocks: igneous rock, sedimentary rocks, metamorphic rocks. When the molten magma cools, it becomes solid. Rocks thus formed are called igneous rocks or primary rocks. There are two types of igneous rocks: intrusive rocks, extrusive rocks. If the magma cools slowly at great depths, mineral grains increase in their size. Example, granite. If the magma gets sudden cooling at the surface, results in small and smooth grains. Example, basalt. The igneous rocks are the oldest of all the rocks. Intrusive igneous rocks. Batholiths. Batholiths are large rock masses formed due to cooling and solidification of hot magma inside the earth. It is granitic in origin. Laccoliths. Laccoliths are large dome-shaped intrusive rock connected by a pipe-like conduit from below. These are basically intrusive counterparts of exposed dome-like batholiths. The Karnataka plateau is spotted with dome hills of granite rocks. Most of these, now exfoliated, are examples of laccoliths. Lapolith. Where the magma moves upwards, a saucer-shaped, concave-shaped body called lapolith is formed. Sill. Sill is a solidified sheet like horizontal lava layer inside the earth. The near horizontal bodies of the intrusive igneous rocks are called sill or sheet, depending on the thickness of the material. The thinner ones are called sheets, while the thick horizontal deposits are called sills. Dike. When the magma makes its way through cracks and the fissures developed in the land, it solidifies almost perpendicular to the ground. It gets cooled in the same position to develop a wall-like structure. Such structures are called dikes. These are intrusive forms led to the development of the Deccan Traps. Extrusive igneous formations like caldera, crater, etc. are already discussed above in detail. That is all about volcanoes. Let's move to the next lesson, earthquake. Earthquake. Earthquake is a form of energy of wave motions transmitted through the surface layer of the earth in widening circles from a point of sudden energy release, the focus. It is a natural event. Earthquake results from the sudden release of pressure which has slowly built up within the earth's crust. Energy is released in the form of shock waves known as seismic waves. It is recorded by an instrument called seismograph or seismometer at the epicenter. Focus or hypocenter is the location inside the earth where the earthquake originates. Epicenter is the point on the Earth's surface vertically above the focus of an earthquake. There are two types of earthquake in nature. Tectonic, associated with faulting movement of rocks. Volcanic, associated with major volcanic eruptions. On the basis of depth, tectonic earthquakes are categorized into three types. Shallow earthquakes, where the depth of focus is less than 70 km. Intermediate earthquakes, where the depth of focus is 70 to 300 km. Deep earthquakes, where the depth of focus is 300 to 700 km. About 90% of earthquakes are within a focus less than 100 km deep. Subduction zone. Nepal 2015. Japan 2011. Measurement of an earthquake. Intensity scale. This scale was prepared by Italian scholar Giuseppe Mercalli in 1903. He measured earthquake on the basis of intensity, and intensity reflects the impact of earthquake. The severity of earthquake shaking is assessed using a descriptive scale, the modified Mercalli intensity scale. The range of intensity scale is from 1 to 12. Magnitude scale. This scale was prepared by scholar named C.F. Richter in 1935. Earthquake size is a quantitative measure of the size of the earthquake at its source. The Richter magnitude scale measures the amount of seismic energy released by an earthquake. The magnitude is expressed in numbers from 0 to 1. 0 to 10. While 10 being the highest recorded on May 22, 1980 in Chile, 1960 in Chile. Distribution of earthquakes. Circum-Pacific Belt. This belt includes western sides of North and South Americas and countries like Indonesia, Philippines, Japan, etc. This belt registers about 80% of quakes in the world. This belt registers all three types of earthquakes: shallow, intermediate, and deep. The earthquake proneness is because of subduction boundaries. Trans-Eurasian Mountain Belt. This belt extends from Mediterranean Sea through Southwest Asia and Himalayas into the Southeast Asia, where it meets Circum-Pacific Belt. This belt registers about 15% of world's earthquakes and experiences only shallow and intermediate earthquakes. The earthquake proneness is because of convergent boundaries. The third zone of earthquake is associated with global system of mid-oceanic ridges with an extension to include East African Rift Valley system. This belt registers only shallow earthquakes. Seismic waves. Seismic waves are the waves of energy caused by the sudden breaking of rock within the earth or an explosion. They are the energy that travels through the earth and is recorded on seismographs. What is seismology? Seismology is the study of earthquakes and seismic waves that move through and around the earth. A seismologist is a scientist who studies earthquakes and seismic waves. Body waves, surface waves. Body waves. Body waves are generated due to the release of energy at the focus and move in all directions traveling through the body of the earth. They are classified into two types. P or primary waves are the fastest seismic waves which travels 6 km per second, are the first to arrive at the surface. They cause the matter to oscillate forward and backward parallel to the motion of the seismic wave front. This exerts pressure on the material in the direction of propagation. They pass through solid, liquid and gaseous materials. S or secondary waves are slower than the primary waves, which travels 3.5 km per second in the upper crust. They cause matter to oscillate side to side perpendicular to the motion of the wavefront. Hence, they create troughs and crests in the material through which they pass. They pass through only solid medium. Surface waves. Surface waves are the waves that travel along the Earth's surface. They are slower than body waves. These waves are more destructive. They cause displacement of rocks and hence the collapse of structures occurs. Antipode. The antipode of any place on the Earth, the place that is diametrically opposite it. So a line drawn from the one to the other passes through the center of the Earth and forms a true diameter. For example, the antipodes of New Zealand's Lower North Island lie in Spain. Causes and impact of earthquakes. There are many factors controlling the occurrence of the earthquake. Some of the major factors include plate tectonic movements, volcanic eruptions, construction of large dams results in earthquake. Example, Koyna Dam, Maharashtra. Other reasons, the nuclear explosions also release massive energy to cause tremors in the earth crust. When underground cave collapses, earthquake may occur. Impact. Damage to buildings, roads, rails, factories, dams, bridges, etc. Landslides caused by earthquakes damage infrastructure. Fires in the forest and urban areas. Flash floods, tsunami. For example, if A is epicenter, A absolute is anticenter. The term anticenter refers to antipode of epicenter of an earthquake. Shadow zone. Earthquake waves get recorded in seismographs located at far-off locations. However, there exist some specific areas where the waves are not reported. Such a zone is called the shadow zone. Shadow zone for P waves. Shadow zone for S waves. Shadow zone for P waves 103 degrees to 142 degrees on both sides. Shadow zone of S wave. Entire zone beyond 103 degrees. The shadow zone of S wave is much larger than that of the P waves.